Hello everyone, Dr. Hanley-Tejeda here. And in the following video, I explain what I'm looking for speech 1. So for the 4 remaining speeches that you will give, you need to have 9 audience members. So make sure to pan with your camera before your speech to show that you have 9 audience members. And then at the end of your speech, please pan with your camera, again, the audience, to show that you have 9 audience members, at least 9 audience members. So what am I looking for with speech 1? So speech 1 is really to see where you're at with public speaking. It's a 2 to 4 minute extemporaneously delivered speech. What's extemporaneously delivered mean? Extemporaneous is a form of delivery that is practiced and prepared from brief notes. What extemporaneous delivery is not is reading word for word or manuscript delivery. At the same time, it's not impromptu delivery, meaning it's not the first time that you've ever given the speech. It's not improv. You've practiced and prepared the speech. You know where you're going with the speech, but you are not reading word for word. Definitely stick to this 2 to 4 minute time frame. Your speech shouldn't be too long or too short, but fit right in this time frame. 2 minutes and 10 seconds is fine. 3 minutes and 58 seconds is fine, but make sure that you're right within this time frame. So it's a 2 to 4 minute extemporaneously delivered speech. You will introduce yourself to your classmates using one of the following approaches. So there's 5 options here. You want to pick one option. Don't try to do 2 options. Don't try to do too much at once. You only have enough time to be short and concise with one of these options. So the first one is you could share a personal narrative or story that illustrates an aspect of your personality. So some sort of story that reflects how you're hardworking, or a story that reflects how you stay positive would work for this one. Very close is the second one, which is very similar to the first one, is to share a personal narrative of a unique experience that's changed you. So maybe this is some hardship or a trip that you took or some sort of experience that you've had that was profound to you, and you would share that story. The third choice that you could pick is to tell us about your ethnicity or culture, or an aspect of either and what it means to you. I really like this one. I think it's an important aspect of identity, and it's just fun to hear about different cultures. And so, you could talk about family traditions or holidays or food or music that you practice in your culture and you want to share with us. Very, very fun choice. Also, you could tell us about a person you admire or look up to and why. This could be a family member or an important teacher that you had, or a coach, anyone in your life that you look up to, and you can tell us about them and share about them. Also a good choice. And then the 5th option is you can give a speech about where you see yourself in 20 years and why. Also fun. I think they're all great, whichever one you choose. But make sure that you pick one of these prompts, not 2. Yes, I've definitely had some fun with this last one here. People get into it. They talk about their life and their career and really where they see themselves. So for this speech, you should prepare an outline on note cards or a clean sheet of paper that includes the main ideas of the introduction, body, and conclusion. I would say this: either have note cards or no notes at all. So I don't think the clean sheet of paper is the best advice for you. Either have note cards with your outline on it or no notes at all. Since it's only 2 to 4 minutes, I think you can do this without note cards, meaning you could hold your outline in your head if you're able to do that. But it might be good to start out by typing up an outline on paper so that you could practice it on paper. But you want to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. And I'll post some examples of introductory speeches. In fact, I'll give you my speech 1, and I'll post it by the end of this week. And then I'll also post some sample speeches that do these examples. So this outline should not include the full text of your speech. If it includes the full text of your speech, that's a manuscript. That's not the kind of delivery that we're practicing. I will not collect this outline for the speech, or I will also not need you to pan your notes for this speech. For the other 2 speeches, I need you to pan your notes and your note cards so I could actually grade your note cards. But I will not need you to do that for this speech. I will be happy to look over your outline before your speech during my office hours, or in this case, you could shoot it to me via email where your speech is going in terms of your outline. You should practice this speech multiple times, preferably in front of an audience. Now, the old textbook I used to teach suggested that for every minute of public speaking, it required 1 to 2 hours of preparation. So, for a 2 to 4 minute speech, to truly do well on a 2 to 4 minute speech, and say you were going to speak for 2 minutes, the minimum preparation to give a great 2-minute speech would be 2 hours. Now, depending on how long you're speaking, if you speak for 4 minutes, the minimum would be 4 hours. So 2 to 8 hours of preparation. Now that sounds like a lot, but I guarantee you that if you put in at least that 2 hours of minimum practice, you're going to give an excellent speech 1. So you're going to pick one of these prompts. You're going to start to outline, and that is how you should start to prepare for this speech. I will be grading you on these 6 basic criteria. Your eye contact. Do you make comfortable and inviting eye contact with the entire audience, right? One thing would be to make point-by-point eye contact rather than like scanning the room frequently, but rather speak individual lines to individual people is the best way to do that. Some people like to look at a spot on the wall just behind the audience. I don't think that's very good because you actually want to connect with your audience by looking at them. So eye contact. I will also be checking for your overall delivery and whether you seem familiar with your text, seem familiar with where your speech is going, that you use appropriate vocal variety, so in terms of your voice, that you're not monotone or at one gesture, but rather you fluctuate, and that you use hand gestures appropriately to go along with your delivery. So eye contact, delivery, and then the introduction, body, and conclusion. So for this, here's my advice. I would say you want to have a clear introduction that grabs the audience's attention. So for this, I would say have some form of attention getter that grabs our attention. You could ask a question. You could tell us a startling quote. You could paint a scene. You could give us a fact, a startling fact, and cite that fact, where you got that fact. But really draw us in and pull and grab our attention, right? And that's the first thing that we should hear you do. The second thing you should do is simply tell us which prompt you chose. So does the speaker state the main idea, thesis of the speech? Does the speaker state the purpose of the speech? Does the speaker preview the main points of the speech? So for this speech, because it's the first one, and because you're probably telling some story about yourself, or some story about your culture, or some story about a person you look up to, or where you see yourself in 5 years, you should grab our attention and then simply tell us which prompt you chose. So today I'm going to tell you about my grandfather and why I look up to him, right? Today I'm going to share with you about a trip I took to India and how it changed me. Today I am going to tell you about where I see myself in 20 years in terms of my life, my career, and my family life, something like that. So, but first, what's the first thing you do? Grab our attention. Second thing you do, tell us some sort of thesis. Now, for the preview, for this speech, it's not quite as important as with other speeches, especially if you're telling us a story and you want to keep us in suspense, right? But do reveal which one of these 5 things you chose, right? Today, I'm going to tell you about my sister and why I look up to her, right? Today, I'm going to tell you all about my plans to be a high school history teacher and a little bit about my personal life and a little bit about my goals for my lifestyle. Something like that. That tells us which one of these you chose. So, first thing you do, grab our attention. Second thing you do, tell us where we're going. Okay. Then you're going to have some sort of body of the speech that develops your story, that develops where you see yourself in 20 years, right? And you could use good details. You could use a suspense. You could really pull us in. This could also be sort of overtly organized. So, if I was talking about why I look up to someone, I could say, I look up to Michael Jordan because of what he did on the court, what he did off the court, and what he's done as a businessman. Something like that. So you could actually have a very specifically organized body by type of main points, right? By little subpoints, if you want to do that. Again, if you're telling a story, it might not work that way. So for this first speech, you just tell us the story. Tell us where you see yourself in 20 years. Tell us the person you look up to. Tell us all about them, right? So, first thing you do, grab our attention. Second thing you do, tell us which one of the prompts you chose. Third thing you do, get into the details about that story. Get into the details about that experience that changed you. Get into the details about your culture and what you do in your culture and why you're proud of it. Tell us the details about where you see yourself in 20 years and why, right? Yeah. Okay, then you're going to have some sort of conclusion. And for us, we want to go out on a bang, to have a strong conclusion. The worst kind of conclusion is that's it, or just kind of fades away, or you don't have a good plan for your conclusion. I actually like to return to the beginning of the speech sometimes for a strong conclusion. And so you want to have some kind of conclusion that goes out with a bang rather than a whimper or fades away or having you say that's it, right? The conclusion should say that's it without you saying that's it. And then, so an introduction, a body, and conclusion. I would also say this, that there's an old trick in public speaking, and it's called the Three Talams. And public speaking is more formalized than conversational speaking, although that's changed, right? Our new textbook, the textbook you're reading, suggests that public speaking has become less formal and to think of it more as really a conversation, and that's true. And the extemporaneous speaking style should give you that kind of style because you're not going to be reading word for word and you're not going to be just improvising, right? It should be kind of like a conversation. And so there's an old trick in public speaking, an old saying, and it's the Three Talams. First, you tell us what you're going to tell us. Then you tell us. then you tell us what you told us, right? So in terms of the intro, body, and conclusion, right? The introduction is where you set it up and you tell us what you're going to tell us. Grab our attention. Hot, warm chocolate chip cookies. My grandfather made the best chocolate chip cookies. Today, I'm going to share with you why I look up to my grandfather. Right? Grab our attention and tell us where we're going. Then in the body, right, you tell us. First you tell us what you're going to tell us. Then you tell us. Then you tell us, get into the details, why you look up to your grandfather, right, or whatever it is that you chose. So first, you tell us what you're going to tell us. Then you tell us in the body. And then the conclusion, you tell us what you told us. Today, I told you why I look up to my grandfather and the important role that he played in my life. And so the next time that I smell those chocolate chip cookies, I'll have a smile on my face because I know that he was a great man and he impacted my life, right? Something like that. And so first you tell us what you're going to tell us, you tell us, and then you tell us what you told us, right? And go out with a bang. And it should be 2 to 4 minutes, right? And not significantly over or under, right? So really in that sweet spot. Again, 2 is fine and 4 is fine, but not shorter or longer. This is the grade point scale. It's 75 points. In a 75-point scale rubric, 75 to 68 points would be outstanding, right? And you would meet and exceed the expectations in all of these various areas, right? Extemporaneous speaking, eye contact, delivery, introduction, body, conclusion, time, right? You want to make sure you're not reading, right? But you would do this to get an A. It would have to be exceptional, right? You would have wonderful eye contact, great delivery, great attention getter, good explanation of where we're going, a body that's developed with details, right? And then a strong conclusion, and you would fit the amount of time, right? So the speaker would have great eye contact, appropriate gestures, and vocal variety. The speaker would be composed and energetic and confident. The speech would be well crafted, right? Particularly like the body of the speech, captivating and creatively inspired. Yeah, go ahead and tell us a great story. This is a great opportunity for you to introduce yourself to the class and to tell a wonderful story in front of your 9-person audience, right? Overall, this speech exemplifies excellence in composition and delivery. So an A would exemplify excellence in all these areas. A B is above average, right? It's a good grade. It would meet and exceed the minimum expectations as described above, right, in those various areas. The speech would be, well crafted, and would meet and exceed the minimum expectations. And then the C, of course, the speech is average, right, in those various areas. And then D and below, right, it would not meet those minimum criteria, right, for time, eye contact, body, delivery, conclusion, right? So that's what I'm looking for speech 1. You're going to pick one of these prompts, and you're going to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, and you're going to speak what kind of delivery are we doing? Extemporaneous delivery. Practiced and prepared from brief notes, not reading word for word. Again, in terms of delivery, I would say note cards or no notes at all. I think the clean sheet of paper I would not do. It's bulky, it's ugly to hold a piece of paper. So please have outlines on note cards. Notes on note cards. 5x3 is good. 5x7 is also fine, but not a big sheet of paper. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for speech 1. It's also kind of to see where we are with public speaking. It's your first speech in front of a 9-person at least audience. And it's also an opportunity for us to get to know more about each other, along with the introductory video, which have been great. So thank you for posting those introductory videos. And so that's what I'm looking for Speech 1. Let me know if you have questions. Again, I'm going to post some examples of this kind of speech. And I'm also I'll go ahead and give you an example of an experience that I had that changed me and illustrates an aspect of my personality. It's actually, I think it reflects an aspect of my personality. I'll go ahead and share an example of Speech 1. And that's it. That's what I got. Make sure to post your questions on Common Course questions so that others can see the questions you're asking, because we can all learn from each other, me included. So thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.